welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters podcast. Today you join us for a thrilling urban wildlife adventure as we explore the last remnants of the great woods in the city we now know as London, with a focus on the stunning ancient woodlands of Sydenham Hill Wood. This week's Wildlife Matters Mindful Moments encourages you to pause and be present, inspired by the simple act of noticing a sound and sharing a special moment. But first, let's dive into this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News, where we share the wildlife and nature stories that have caught our attention this week. Hello and welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. Our first story this week highlights that scientists are investigating why certain trees, such as the crouch oak in Addlestone, Surrey, and the Druids oak at Burnham Beeches in Buckinghamshire, can live for centuries. Trees are crucial for sustaining life on Earth as they absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. However, while some endure extreme weather, disease, and climate change to thrive for centuries, others succumb to these conditions prematurely. To uncover the reasons behind the longevity of these trees, the Woodland Trust and the Arboricultural Association are analysing the DNA of some of these ancient giants. Dr. Ed Pine, a conservation scientist from the Woodland Trust, collected a leaf sample from the Druids oak for DNA testing. He remarked to Wildlife Matters, "We know that this tree is a survivor. Is it just that it's been lucky? Has it had a stress-free life? Or is there something special about its genes?" The Druids oak has lived for over 800 years, with some oak trees exceeding 1,000 years of age. But if the scientists can identify unique traits in the DNA of these ancient trees, this knowledge could aid in restoring Britain's depleted woodlands. By selecting the best oaks for planting, scientists can enhance the survival and growth prospects of new forests, thereby creating new habitats for wildlife, said Dr. Pine. Dr. Emma Gilmartin from the Arboricultural Association said, "By exploring the genome of ancient trees, we can understand how to manage them better, securing their future for generations to come." Oak trees are considered ancient once they reach their 400th birthday, and the DNA study is set to analyse around 50 of the UK's most renowned ancient oaks. This DNA study is just one of the initiatives prioritising oak tree conservation. The National Nature Reserve adjacent to Mocass Park in Herefordshire has prioritised oaks in its landscape restoration plans. As part of efforts to restore a wood pasture, a habitat characterised by open grasslands and ancient trees, acorns from centuries-old oaks in the area are being collected. And these acorns are growing into young oak trees off-site and will be replanted in their original locations, whilst non-native conifers previously planted here are being relocated. Tom Simpson from Natural England told Wildlife Matters that since the project's inception 16 years ago, there has been a remarkable boom in the local bird population, along with a resurgence of rare species, including various species of fly, beetle, bats, and birds. A notable example is the Mocass beetle, which has been found living only on 14 ancient oak trees within Mocass Park. Tom added, "We are really seeing nature recover on this site." In addition to ongoing studies of ancient oak trees, the Woodland Trust is employing 3D modelling techniques to enhance understanding and management of these magnificent trees for the future. The Woodland Trust maintains an ancient tree inventory which currently lists over 190,000 trees in its database. The Woodland Trust likens these ancient trees to our stately homes, artworks and cathedrals, emphasising their significance. They encourage the public to submit and record old trees in their inventory to ensure better care for these vital natural assets. Our second story this week is a disturbing one, as a study reveals alarming levels of rat poison found in otters and other wildlife species. New research by Wildlife Poisoning Research UK has uncovered concerning levels of rat poison in British otters and other native species, including foxes and birds of prey. The study found that 91% of all otters tested had been exposed to second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides, or SGARs, with 43% showing lethal levels of the poisons. Notably, the livers of all otters tested since 2019 have contained these harmful substances. Beyond their immediate lethal effects, these poisons have chronic and debilitating consequences, with affected animals and birds exhibiting lethargy and a lack of awareness for several days before their death, rendering them more vulnerable to predation and trauma, such as being struck by vehicles. Recent evidence indicates that sublethal doses of poisons can damage the immune system and elevate disease levels within wildlife populations. And research shows that the proportion of otters exposed to these toxins in Wales and throughout Britain is significantly higher than in other countries, according to similar studies. In Germany, investigations have revealed that otters are poisoned by consuming fish contaminated with SGARs, which is caused by poorly treated sewage and direct runoff from drains. These poisons are frequently used to control rat populations in sewers, often without any public knowledge. Dr. Ed Blaine from WPR UK has stressed the urgent need to test sewage effluent and river life for these poisons in Britain. If this is so, then it is time to reassess the use of these poisons in sewer systems, he said. There are alternatives to SGAR poisons that do not pose the same level of environmental risk. According to Dr. Blaine, many poisons currently found in our waterways should have been banned due to failing environmental risk assessments. However, the British government has permitted their continued use, provided the chemical industry takes measures to significantly reduce poison exposure to wildlife. This is a stance that has also been backed by the Welsh Government. As a result, levels of poison detected in the livers of various wildlife species have surged by 220% in buzzards, 401% in foxes, and 100% in peregrine falcons. A significant contributor to this issue in the Wye catchment area is the prevalence of industrial chicken farms, where the use of rat poison is considerably higher, leading to a substantial amount of the toxins entering watercourses. This research has revealed the extent of pollution in our watercourses, and this is one of many reasons why we must prioritise cleaning up our rivers and watercourses whilst ensuring that we stop this high-level contamination from intensive farming and other environmental impacts from our current lifestyle. Our third story is a heartfelt tribute to a true champion of wildlife, Debbie Bailey, who was taken from us far too soon. Renowned for her unwavering dedication, Debbie led the largest volunteer-based badger vaccination programme in Britain, based in her home county of Derbyshire. Debbie's commitment to understanding the issues surrounding badgers and her tireless campaigning against the badger cull is when I first met her back in 2013. Her passion, drive and energy were exceptional, making her a powerful advocate for these amazing creatures. One of her most significant achievements was persuading her then MP, Andrew Bingham, to defy party lines and vote against the cull by presenting the latest scientific research and highlighting public opposition. Debbie even took him out into the field, showing him firsthand the beauty of badgers. And Debbie dedicated herself to the High Peak Badger Group and the Derbyshire Wildlife Trust vaccination project, providing a practical alternative to shooting badgers. After badger vaccination was licensed in 2010 and trialled on a small scale, Debbie took a 2-year unpaid career break to coordinate what would become the first and largest volunteer-led badger vaccination program. This groundbreaking project demonstrated a viable alternative to culling at scale, involving multiple stakeholders and influencing discussions at the highest levels of government. In recognition for her work, Debbie was awarded the I4 Animal Action Award in 2018. Sue Mayer told us that when the badger cull began in 2013, Debbie was incensed. The tributes have poured in for Debbie, including a touching message from the Badger Trust, the leading authority on badgers in Britain, who said Debbie was a true badger champion. From leading pioneering vaccination projects to tackling wildlife crime, her passion, kindness and dedication leave a lasting legacy. Debbie's fascination with badgers began when she discovered scrapes on her lawn, leading her to feed and to watch the badgers from her patio in the evenings. Eager to share this experience, Debbie launched Badger Watch, allowing others to witness the badgers up close, separated only by a large window. She encouraged every visitor to contribute to the High Peak Badger Group in exchange for this unique experience. Despite the challenges of coordinating the badger vaccination project and her local badger group, Debbie consistently found time to assist injured or sick badgers, hedgehogs and indeed other wildlife, often nursing them back to health in her own home, working through her extensive network of wildlife friends to ensure their safe release back to the wild after their rehabilitation. Debbie forged partnership and inspired change on a national level, never shying away from standing up for what was right, but above all, she will be remembered for her kindness, a guiding light to everyone who knew her. Debbie didn't just speak for badgers, she fought for them, and Debbie will be sadly missed. Debbie was truly in her element when she was out in the fields with her beloved badgers, but she cherished hosting family and friends at her home. Her funeral and wake served as a fitting tribute to a remarkable individual, attended by her family, friends, and many of us from the badger and wider wildlife community who all joined together to pay their respects. In honour of her legacy of compassion and action, Debbie's family has established the Debbie Bailey Foundation for Badgers, ensuring her impact and legacy continues. Badgers have truly lost a dear friend. And that has been this week's Wildlife Matters Nature News. Debbie Bailey was just 58, but she achieved more for her beloved badgers than she could ever have anticipated, and her remarkable legacy will live on through the Debbie Bailey Foundation, which will continue to support badgers. If you would like to donate to Debbie's foundation, we will put a link in the show notes. We will also closely monitor the developing story of the high levels of rodenticides in wildlife over the coming weeks. We love trees and plants here at Wildlife Matters, so celebrating some of these ancient trees is very important to us. And we encourage you to get outside and enjoy your local trees, especially now as they begin their spectacular autumn displays of colour. This week, Wildlife Matters Mindful Moments invites us to be present and to appreciate the often overlooked sounds of nature. So join us and allow yourself to be in the moment and listen to the sounds of the ancient woodland in this week's Wildlife Matters Mindful Moments. When you take a moment to stop and listen, what you hear can be truly remarkable. This is the remarkable old tree in Sydenham Hill Wood in South London. The tree is probably several hundred years old. It has endured for many years and undergone numerous changes. But on this particular day, it creaked as it swayed with the wind, its upper canopy leaves dancing in the breeze. And standing by its base with my handheld recorder provided a unique insight into how trees flex and move in ways that are often unseen and unnoticed, but can certainly be heard if you choose to listen. Now join me for the second urban wildlife adventure as we explore the magnificent woods that once covered all of London and discover the incredible wildlife haven of Sydenham Hill Wood in this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. Hello and welcome to this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. Wild London is a new series by Wildlife Matters that explores the wildest locations within our cities and urban centres. We began this journey at West Norwood Cemetery back in July, which was featured in episode 6 of this series if you want to go back and have a listen. But London is renowned as one of the greenest cities globally, boasting famous parks and green spaces. But it also harbours lesser-known wild places where one can escape the hustle and bustle of city life and immerse yourself in nature. For nearly 25 years, Wildlife Matters has been dedicated to wildlife and green spaces in and around London. When discussing wildlife in the city, many people often look puzzled and ask me, is there any? They might mention pigeons, squirrels, and sometimes even foxes, but there is so much more to discover, from peregrine falcons and grass snakes to red deer and tawny owls. So, join me as we explore one of my favourite spots in London for wildlife watching, Sydenham Hill Wood. Sydenham Hill Wood slopes from one of London's highest points down to Selhurst, and it's one of the last remnants of the historic Great North Wood, which once stretched from the River Thames down as far south to Croydon. The wood is home to a rich variety of wildlife that includes rare fungi, insects, birds, mammals, and over 200 species of trees and plants. And with plenty of fallen trees, branches, and logs, there are opportunities to climb, swing, or just sit. The dense tree cover effectively blocks out the sounds and the sights of the city, creating a tranquil escape. And you can explore historical features here too, such as the railway tunnel that once transported Victorians to the Crystal Palace, a folly, a memorable bridge, and a breathtaking view of the central London landmarks. Walking in Sydenham Hill Wood has always brought me great pleasure, especially with its abundance of wildlife. This morning, just after sunrise, I was fortunate enough to spot a pair of tawny owls engaged in their intricate communication. Tawny owls possess a wide range of calls that are far more sophisticated than the infamous twit-twoo most people recognise. I read a science paper, Appleby and Redpath 97, Galeotti 98, Galeotti and Pavan 2008, and Redpath et al. 2000, that explained how, based on the harshness, length, pitch of their calls, and the relative proportions of certain syllables, the owls can discern the identity of the caller, its sex, build, weight, health, aggression level, and even the quality of its territory. I was amazed to discover that no two tawny owls sound alike, and they all have their own local and regional accents. Since learning this, I have become aware of the two pairs of tawny owls that live near my home and can now identify which one of them is calling. Now, I'm no Dr. Dolittle, but like many of you who spend time in nature, you get to know your local wildlife. The next bird I encountered was a stunning kestrel hovering in a classic kestrel style. It's the only hawk capable of hovering for extended periods while scanning the ground for its breakfast. Its white tail, edged with brown and black feathers, fanned out beautifully as it maintained its position. The kestrel hovered for 20, maybe 30 seconds, allowing me ample time to admire its sleek body and long, tapered wings before it dropped from the sky. Unfortunately, it returned without breakfast, emitting that lovely kes call that gives it its name. The firecrest is a tiny yet spectacular looking bird. It competes with the goldcrest for the title of the Britain's smallest bird. It was once just a seasonal visitor, but it is now found breeding in woodlands across London and south of England. It's similar in size to a goldcrest, but the firecrest boasts a rich olive green topcoat and a buff white underside. The males are distinguished by their bright orange crown edged with black, whilst the females sport a yellow crown. Its most distinctive feature is the bright white line above its eye, setting it apart from the goldcrest. First recorded breeding in the UK in Hampshire back in 1962, firecrests are now prevalent in coniferous woodlands and plantations throughout much of southern England. London is also renowned in wildlife world for being an excellent place to spot stag beetles, and Sydenham Hill Wood is one of the best places where you will find them. The wood features a considerable amount of fallen trees that have decayed over the years, providing the ideal habitat for stag beetle larvae. These larvae can spend up to 6 years in a decaying branch or stump before emerging as adult stag beetles, living fast and furiously for just one summer. They don't eat during this time, but will mate as often as possible before succumbing to the first frosts of autumn. Whilst discussing insects, it's worth noting the abundance of butterflies here today. I've already spotted a red admiral, a peacock, and a comma, species that would have sparked much discussion just a few years ago, but are now increasingly common as their populations expand across Britain. I've also seen a brown argus feeding on some cranesbill. And although these are not rare, I was surprised to see it in a woodland, as this butterfly is more typically associated with the chalk grassland found about 30 miles south of here. A little further along the path, basking in a small patch of sunlight that penetrates through the woodland canopy, is a speckled wood butterfly. Again, not rare. It is an attractive sight, though, with its brown wings adorned with golden orange to yellow speckles that resemble eyes. It's then that a foul odour drew me to a group of fungi that was sitting by a fallen tree bough. Upon closer inspection, I identified them as the fetid marasmerius. The fetidus part of the name aptly describes the potent, sour smell of these mushrooms. Their red to brown appearance reminds me of a jellyfish as they lie flat on the ground with their pleated edges. It's funny though, once you start looking for fungi, you can begin to spot them much more often. In Britain, we have just a fraction of the approximately 2,000 species of Cortinarius found worldwide. That's the largest group within the Agaricus mushroom family. While many of these distinctive fungi have a veil on the cap, some are toxic and a few are deadly, making them unsuitable for foraging. As I walk deeper into the woodland, a small ring of large white mushrooms comes into view in a grassy clearing at the path's edge. Investigating further, I discover a perfect fairy ring of fungi, each standing around 75 mil or about 3 inches tall. The gills and stems are white, and the cap is also white with a stripe but lacks a ring. However, the unpleasant smell, a blend of radishes and honey, indicates that I might have found a white knight. The white knight forms a symbiotic mycorrhizal relationship with sessile oaks, which are prominent here at Sydenham Hill Wood. Despite its name, this species is not edible and is known for its bitter and even acrid taste. I've never been tempted to even have a nibble. The sessile oak, which can grow to 40 to 50 metres, is less well known than the English oak, but plays a vital role in our woodlands. Its acorns are directly attached to outer twigs rather than held on stalks, allowing it to form dense, single-species woodlands if it is left to grow. And although sessile oak timber is less highly regarded than that of English oak, it has been used for centuries, mainly to make barrels and casks for the brewing industry, enhancing the flavour of wine and spirits. In addition to the oak species, hornbeam is another main tree here in Sydenham Wood. Although common in southern and eastern England, it is often overshadowed by other woodland species, as it is a critical component of ancient woodlands, which are unfortunately rare. The common hornbeam, also known as the hard beam, due to its demanding and challenging wood when working it, features a smooth grey twisting trunk and toothed-edged leaves. Its large catkins appear in late spring, while the winged seeds can be seen dispersing in the autumn. Although it may be mistaken for the common beech, the hornbeam's leaves are deeply veined with spiny edges and those distinctive bare 3-lobed seeds. Hazel, on the other hand, supports a diverse ecosystem, providing food for moth caterpillars such as the large emerald, the small white wave, barred umber, and the nut tree tussock. In managed woodlands where hazel is coppiced, the resulting open, wildflower-rich habitat fosters a thriving population of butterflies, particularly fritillaries. Coppiced hazel offers shelter to ground nesting birds like the nightingale, nightjar, yellowhammer, and the willow warbler. Hazel has long been associated with the dormouse, often called the hazel dormouse. These tiny animals rely on hazelnuts to help fatten them up for hibernation, whilst in spring hazel leaves serve as a good source of caterpillars for their diet. Other wildlife, including woodpeckers, nuthatches, the tit species, wood pigeons, jays, and small mammals, all consume hazelnuts. Hazel flowers provide early pollen for the bees, although the non-sticky nature of this pollen makes it challenging for bees to collect in large quantities. Over the last couple of years, I've helped with the dormouse surveys in the woods, where there is a healthy population. Locating dormice can be pretty challenging, and they are protected by law, making it illegal to handle them without a license. Therefore, it is essential to avoid disturbing these dormice if you see one. Its nest or the dormouse survey wooden or black plastic boxes that you can sometimes see hanging from the trees. Please leave them undisturbed, as disturbing them would not only be illegal, but it would also frighten any dormouse inside. An easier way to see if you have mice species in your area is to do a nut hunt. For example, wood mice, bank voles, and dormice all gnaw round holes in hazelnut shells, leaving distinctive marks that can help identify which species have been feeding on the nut. One method to locate these animals is through the nut hunt, a simple activity perfect for families. The only equipment needed is a magnifying glass. The best time for this survey is during the autumn and early winter, when the trees are bare and discarded nutshells are easily visible on the woodland floor. Nest tubes are another effective method for detecting dormice, particularly in areas where nut searches may be less fruitful. Although these are typically used by licensed and trained ecologists, nest tubes are excellent tools for surveying, but are not intended for long-term population monitoring. When surveying for dormice, small numbers of tubes may fail to detect their presence, even if they are known to inhabit the area. Natural nest searches are particularly valuable in the absence of other signs. Dormice nests are about the size of a grapefruit, are typically found in brambles and low-growing shrubs, generally around a metre above the ground. They can inhabit nest tubes and boxes using materials such as grass, leaves, and honeysuckle bark to construct their homes. Sydenham Hill Wood is a hotspot for mustelids too, hosting at least 4 species, including the iconic badger. Badger is the largest of the UK mustelids, and they measure between 60 and up to 85 centimetres in length and are easily recognised by their stocky, muscular build, grey and white fur, long snouts, and of course those distinctive stripes across their eyes. Badgers are active from dusk until dawn, frequently foraging in open fields for worms and grubs. They create established trails and sets, their underground homes, that are used by multiple generations. And this indicates a thriving population in the woods, especially if you are here at dawn and dusk. In contrast to badgers, the weasel is the smallest mustelid in Britain, with the adults measuring a maximum of 20 centimetres long. But weasels are quick and elusive, sporting a chestnut brown back and sides with an off-white underside. Their short, straight tails are also chestnut brown. They can often be seen unexpectedly emerging from long grass or beneath hedgerows. In colder winters, their coats can change to white, a rare adaptation here in southern Britain that provides camouflage against snowy environments, reducing vulnerability to predators such as hawks and owls. The stoat is a close relative of the weasel, can also be found here in Sydenham Hill Wood. It can be distinguished from the weasel by the black tip on its tail, often referred to as a paintbrush tip, and by its larger size of up to around 30 centimetres and the longer tail. Stoats are remarkable hunters. They're capable of preying on animals up to 3 times their own size. They thrive in diverse habitats, including woodlands, moorlands, and hedgerows, particularly favouring areas with old dry stone walls and rocky mounds that provide excellent cover for both themselves and their prey. The American mink is another mustelid that can be found at Sydenham Hill Wood. Primarily, it inhabits rivers across the UK, having escaped or been released from fur farms during the 60s and 70s. These mink are significantly smaller than the native otter and feature a dark brown to almost black coat with small ears and a distinctive floppy black tail, unlike the otter's pointed tail. Mink are active both day and night and can often be spotted exploring canals and small streams. Mink are controversial among conservationists and are now classified as an alien species here in the UK. Their presence in the woods indicates their adaptability and suggests they are well established in the area. Sydenham Hill Wood is also home to several fascinating attractions that highlight its rich history. Among these is the Folly, also known as the Ruins, which are remnants of Fairwood, which was a grand villa constructed in the early 1860s for David Henry Stone, a prominent businessman and an attorney. This area of London rose to prominence in the mid-19th century after the relocation of the Crystal Palace, attracting many distinguished families. Today, only the Folly stands as a testament to the past here, although some claim to have glimpsed Fairwood hidden beneath thick holly, brambles and bracken deep in the woods. Another significant structure is the Cox's Walk footbridge, built around 1865 to allow pedestrian access across the railway line to Selhurst and to the Crystal Palace. It was fully restored to its original design using teak and iron in 1906, but fell into disrepair following the railway's closures in 1954. Bridge is currently part of the Green Chain Walk and is undergoing substantial restoration by Southwark Council, although on the day we visited, it remained closed for that restoration. Next is the Crescent Wood Tunnel, also known as Upper Sydenham Tunnel. It's adjacent to the station of the same name. This is a 400-yard double-bore tunnel that was constructed by the Crystal Palace and South London Junction Railway to link Sydenham Hill Woods to the proposed Upper Sydenham station. It played a role in the Great Exhibition when it relocated from Hyde Park in 1851 and was officially opened on the 1st of May that year. The tunnel was bricked up in the 1980s and has since become a vital bat hibernaculum which is managed by the London Wildlife Trust. Wildlife Matters has helped to conduct 2 bat surveys in Sydenham Hill Woods, recording significant numbers of common and soprano pipistrelle bats alongside similar populations of noctule, serotine and the myotis or mouse-eared bat. Additional surveys by the local bat group have also identified species such as the Leisler, whiskered, alcato and brown long-eared bats. Watching the bats emerge from the tunnel as they came out to feed, swirling and circling me as I recorded the sounds of their wings and sonar, which of course is out of range of our hearing, before they soared overhead, was a delightful conclusion to our day at Sydenham Hill Wood. We hope you have enjoyed our visit here and that next time that you are in South London, you will make some time to visit this amazing woodland for yourself. It is a wonderful place for people and for wildlife. And that has been this week's Wildlife Matters main feature. Nestled just a few miles from the vibrant urban landscape of London lies the tranquil beauty of Sydenham Hill Wood. This ancient woodland serves as a sanctuary for both wildlife and people, offering a much-needed escape from the hustle and bustle of modern life. Whether you're looking for a leisurely afternoon stroll or an adventurous day out, Sydenham Hill Wood is worth a visit. It truly is one of the hidden gems of wild London, contributing to the city's reputation as one of the greenest capitals in the world. We have more urban wildlife adventures lined up, so if you enjoy our content, please subscribe, follow and like our podcast. Taking a moment to leave a comment or review wherever you listen can greatly help fellow nature lovers discover us. Thank you for your support. In the next episode of the Wildlife Matters podcast, we will celebrate the changing seasons with a live storytelling special around the campfire in the heart of the deep, dark woods. So grab a drink and settle in as we share 2 nature-inspired folklore stories for our autumn equinox storytelling special. As always, we appreciate every one of you. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Wildlife Matters will return in 2 weeks. Until then, stay curious, wild ones. This is Wildlife Matters signing off.